Have you ever gone whale watching? I've gone once. I was a junior in high school. I was in AP Environmental Science, and part of that class was the option to go on this field trip to Point Reyes. Point Reyes, it's right around San Francisco, a little past San Francisco, right on the coast. And I remember going to Point Reyes. I used to go there when I was a kid a lot. Our family would always go there maybe once, twice a year. We would always take a little day trip out there, come back. And when I was younger, I didn't realize that this was a thing, but when we went as a class, when I was a junior for AP Enviro, I realized that, oh, whale watching is a thing you can do there. You go down to this lighthouse, you go up to the railing, and you look out, and the guide at the time said, "Can anyone see the whales? They're out there. They should be in that little section right there." And I remember looking out, and I'm like, yeah, I see a few ripples, but not whale ripples. Whale ripples are much bigger, right? Due to the size of the whale, the fish. But I remember it was a cloudy day. The tour guide was like, yeah, it's right over there. If you kind of squint and you look over there, you might be able to see them. But it wasn't much of an event. There weren't really whales to watch. And that's why I bring this up, is because what's with that phrase, whale watching? Watching is either used in a creepy or security context, right? If you watch something, that's either because you're a creep or because you're trying to keep it safe. Like a lot of people do that, right? If they are trying to, keep an eye on someone, let's say a parent has to run to the car, they're leaving their kid in the playground, they might tell another trusting parent, "Hey, can you watch my kid while I run to the car? Thank you so much." It could also be used in a creepy context because you'd be like, "I think that person's watching me." It's not like an invited thing, right? It's something that someone puts onto you, it seems like, without your control. Even a TikTok trend exists that does this, right? There's usually like an intern or like a young person in the office. They'll come up to their boss and they'll be like, "Hey, can you guys watch him while I go do something?" And they'll put their phone right in front of their boss. And it's just recording their boss. And then their boss acts like, they're a founding father seeing technology for the first time because they're like, "Oh, what is this thing?" I'm like, "It's a phone. You don't know what that is?" That's one weird thing about that trend. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Someone puts a phone right in front of their boss and they're like, "Oh, can you guys watch him while I go do a thing?" And the boss looks at the camera. Actually, I'll treat this as the camera. And they go, "What is this? Is it recording? What's going on?" And then some of the funny ones, they go, "Let me fix my hair." And they're bald. So, they kind of do the thing. And they play into it. But a lot of them are clueless. A lot of them are like pilgrims when they see that phone. They're like, "What is this magical box? I've never seen something like this." I don't know why, but I feel like we should stone a woman because of it. Someone's a witch. That's the only way this exists, right? But they always say, "Can you watch my boss?" Because it's like, oh yeah, it's like a watchful security thing, right? But if you know whale watching, again, I don't know if you've been whale watching, but the activity doesn't really earn that name. It's not really like you're watching the whales. There's nothing creepy or secure about it. It's more like whale observing, but it doesn't have a ring to it. And I think the reason it doesn't have a ring to it is because whale watching is a thing. Whale observing, that's not a thing. But if we, at the beginning of whale watching, called it whale observing, I feel like that would have been normal. It's just we fucked up from the very beginning. And that's how often things are, right? We just kind of made rules once upon a time and we're like, well, now we got to follow those. It's like, no, you can change it up. I know that whale watching also has alliteration working towards it. So it does have a strong position right now, but it doesn't fit when you think about it. I'm watching that whale. In case of what? I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah, watching has the idea that if something happens, I will do something, right? Watching means I'm waiting for something to happen, and once it does, I will take an action. But that's not really what whale watching is. Actually, it is, isn't it? Because when I see a whale, when I'm whale watching, I'll whip out my phone, right? I should already have it out and aimed because I know what I'm about to see. And then, once I see the whale, it pops its head out. or however much of its body it would like to show me. Its choice, not mine. I'll snag a pic. And then that shit's gonna go on my Facebook to get 3 likes. And then next time I see one of my Facebook friends in person, I can be like, did you see the whale watching photo? They're like, was it before or after your fireworks photo? I was like, it was after. So you saw the fireworks. That's nice. Yeah. Did they get rid of the like button on your mobile device? Because I don't. Oh, yeah. The desktop version, they got rid of it? Yeah. Yeah. That's a lie, but it's okay. I'm watching you, bitch. And that's what you can do. I guess whale watching is actually quite an apt name. Because once the whale appears, yeah, you take a picture of it. Wow. Look at that. I guess they really do implement these things for a reason. I wonder if there was some idiot in the past that said, I feel like we should use a different name, and then they gave him the same lecture here. But if he just took some time to think about it himself, he would have come to the same conclusion that I did. And that is that, whale watching is actually a good name. It's alliterative. It makes sense. No notes. In fact, I take back everything I said. But this week I was talking to some of my coworkers and they told me, I've talked about this in the past where it's like I'm always seeing signs of aging, right? Whether they're physical or emotional or whatnot. And another sign kind of popped up. Another potential sign of aging popped up because my coworkers started talking about their kids. Because that's a thing that happens at work. People talk about their kids. Some of them are actually my age, and I'm like, yeah, kids, so irresponsible, right? Not us, mature adults, right, guys? Your kid's 28? Okay, so I'm not even that old. Your kid's older than me. But yeah, fuck the younger generation, right? But this coworker of mine, they have kids in like elementary school. Elementary, middle, and they told me they were like, kids, actually, they kind of told the group, they're like, kids have a language of their own. I don't get it. It's so hard to communicate. And I get what they mean. I got nervous because I'm like, oh yeah, what are kids saying nowadays? I probably don't even know. I'm probably out of touch. Because like, I don't know what the lingo, even me saying the word lingo is like, ooh, antiquated, put him in a thrift shop. He's outdated. But some in-touch youth would be able to pick him up, make good use out of him, right? One man's trash is another man's treasure. Shout out Macklemore. He taught me actually a lot of my life lessons that I live by today. But I do get nervous sometimes when people bring up slang. I'm like, that's the thing. Those are the broken windows. Those are the early signs. That's the canary in the coal mine. Sayings and slang of the newer generation. I think that's the first thing to go. It's either that or your knees. Good one, Gauruv. Everyone loves the bad knees joke. That's a banger. Yeah, my lower back hurts. Ooh, that's another good one. What's a nice one? Oh, my upper back? Really, any of the back. If you just say, oh, my back hurts, that shit slaps. Anyone older than 20 is like, I relate. I feel seen. That's me. I have a bad back. Like, no, you don't. You just sit like this. Your corporate job. I don't even know why your company spent $400 on that chair. You don't even use it the right way. They give you a stool and you would still fuck shit up. Anyways, my coworker said, oh yeah, they're saying words that I don't understand. And the other coworker was like, oh yeah, what words? And I was like, here we go. This is the test, Gauruv. Are you out of touch? And they said, yeah, they're saying weird words like riz, skibbity. And, if you want to even check in on how someone's doing, you have to say, can we have a vibe check? And I was like, nah, I'm still young. I'm still in touch. I because that shit, I know all those words, and that's not how you use that last phrase. Vibe check is not, checking in with someone, but I get what they're saying. It's kind of like when you take a non-native English speaker, and it's like a direct translation. Yes, they're right. A vibe check is like maybe kind of how you're saying someone's doing, but it's different. The denotation is there, not the connotation. So it's funny hearing people older than me, even maybe younger than me, I don't know. You can be out of touch at any age. Like even there's probably some middle schoolers that are like, I don't fucking know what Riz is. And it's like, wow. Coming from a Rizless person, am I right? If you don't know what it means, you probably don't have it. Actually, the people that don't know what it means probably do have Riz. I don't even like talking about Riz, sincerely. That feels bad. I don't like that. Yeah, I just like to pontificate about the Riz levels of people nowadays. What are we doing? What have you seen that meme format where it's like I wake up in a cold sweat? It's like 500 BC or something. I garden in the morning. That's my one task of the day. But yeah, they said Riz, Skibbity, and Vibe Check. And I was like, wow, it's broken into the corporate space. This is truly what being an adult is. And then I even, I had to I had to give my credentials. I had to be like, oh yeah, Skibbity Toilet, right? And they're like, oh, so you know what that is? I'm like, yeah. And do you guys know that Baby Gronk rizzed up Livy Dunn? And they're like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, you wouldn't know. Leave that to the young folk. But I'm proud to announce that I still got it. I'm still in touch because I know what Skibbity and Riz mean. And I'm not proud of it. It's just what is happening in my life. I was also thinking about marathons. That's like the thing of people in their 20s. They love doing marathons. Like they take up running. It's like a solo exercise that they can feel good about and track and then take screenshots and post them on social media. So it's like really appealing to this age range, right? But I was thinking about marathons. I'm like, how do we know they're real, right? I've never seen one in real life. So how do we know? Well, Garv, they're all over the social media and the TV. Oh, you're going to tell me you believe everything you see on social media? That's what they want you to believe. Oh, you see the news? You believe everything on there? Oh, you got to be the king's jester. The way you're fucking joking with me. All right, there's no way you believe that. They're lying to you. How do we know that's not manufactured? If people think the moon landing is fake, why can't they think marathons are fake, right? Well, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, so how do I know it exists? Good point. And I stand by that. I don't get it. I've never seen a marathon, so how do we know they're real? I think it's made up by big running, right? The athletic shoe brands and Gymshark. They're like, yeah, just make it seem like people use these things to achieve like peak performance, and then everyday people will buy and use them. I think it's all a conspiracy. Actually, I'm going to take that back. It's not a conspiracy. It's the truth. And I won't be silent. That's fucking stupid. Do you guys drink coffee? I don't like really drink coffee. Like I don't need it to get going in the morning. I know there's some people the classic like, oh, don't talk to me unless I've had my cup, that whole thing. I don't have a thing. I think I would probably benefit. That's the thing. Coffee, I'm sure it would give me a little boost, a little jolt, a little kickstart in the morning. But I just haven't done it. I don't do it. So I'm like, I don't want to get into it. It'll be another thing I have to do, you know? When you're waking up in the morning, a morning routine, having the least amount of steps possible, that's kind of where I want to get to. And drinking coffee, that could introduce a flurry of steps that I don't want to add. That's like buying a bunch of new clothes when you're trying to get rid of them. Don't do that. You're moving towards this one lifestyle. Don't adopt this other one that's going to be so counterintuitive to that one, right? But that doesn't mean I've never had coffee and I don't think about coffee, because I was thinking about coffee. And the thing I was thinking about was that I don't think it would be that popular if it was a different color. Because I saw some like iced coffee on social media and I was like, that's so nice to look at. I love the aesthetic of coffee, like that brown color. There's two of the like best colors when it comes to food. It's like the brown, that light brown color of like an iced coffee, and that bright orange color of like buffalo sauce on buffalo wings. Ooh. Both of those colors, I don't know why, but just something in my primal animal brain gets flicked on when I see those things. I'm like, oh, I gotta have that. Ooh, give me that. Oh, that sure looks nice. Give me that. I'm joking. I'm joking. But I was like, what if coffee was like red? This is stupid. What is this guy talking about? This is one of those points in these episodes where you're like, wait, why do I listen to this? wait, did he just ask me to imagine if coffee was red? Oh, I need to turn this off. Where's it? You know? But then some of you are able to get past that hurdle and you realize, oh no, this is fine. Yeah, this is just background noise. I wonder if anyone uses this as background noise. Do you think so? I don't know. Just a thought. There's nowhere to go with that. But yeah, imagine if coffee was red. I don't think many people would drink it. But then I do think about like people drink energy drinks and they look kind of weird, right? Like even Mountain Dew. Energy drinks are a bad example because they're always in a can, so you can't see the color of the liquid. It's truly about the effect. Energy drinks are like having a good personality, right? Because everyone's like, yeah, you're in a package that I don't give a fuck about. I'm just trying to get inside. What's on the inside is what matters. Energy drinks are a really good metaphor for life if you think about it, because they do teach you, yeah, what's on the inside of this can matters, and then they make you more hyped up so, you know, you act more yourself, right? Yeah. When you're more hyper, you're more yourself. Energy drinks are all about just bringing out your true, genuine inner self. And I think that's so magical. And that's why I'm investing very heavily in Red Bull. Also because I saw an Instagram reel of a guy jumping on his bike a bunch of times on one wheel, and I said, oh, I gotta have that. I gotta let people know I support that. So yes, I'm an investor of Red Bull. And that's just a lie. That's just a thing I made up. So don't believe that. Even though I don't know, would that be bad if I wasn't? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know the lifestyle that comes with being an investor of Red Bull, but I don't know if I am in the market for wings right now because I hear they give you that. And I would like to, you know, on my journey to be more grounded, I could do without wings. But I know people drink a lot of those drinks, right? Energy drinks. And they probably look like, I think, piss. I think I poured out a Monster before, and it looks very piss-like. But then there's stuff like Mountain Dew, where you can see the color of the liquid. Gatorade even. And I wonder how much of that is like in tune with that type of drink. Like when you see a red Gatorade, it kind of gets you in the mode of like, oh yeah, I'm playing sports, or oh, I'm quenching my thirst. And with coffee, that brown color, that subtle brown, it gets you in the mood of like, okay, I'm waking up. You know, this is a nice start to my day. That's why there's so much appeal for me. You know, I'm the same skin tone. That's why people love waking up with me in the morning. The fuck is this guy on about? But I just think if coffee was red, people wouldn't like it as much, right? Because it's just not aesthetically, it hits differently. I also think it wouldn't be as attractive on social media. Like, imagine posting a red drink, and I'm not even talking bright red. Like, it can be a nice dull red. I don't even think I have anything that color. But you could post this dull red color, and still it would be like, ugh. It's a whole different vibe. Seeing that kind of a red liquid before noon is kind of weird. It's very alarming. It's a cause of concern. Like, if you ever see someone drink soda before like 8 a.m., you're like, hey, bud, are you okay? Like, we can talk. Like, I'll put some time aside if you need that. I'm here for you. But with coffee, it makes sense. You drink that brown liquid and you're like, oh, yes. Certain colors make certain sense at certain parts of the day. And I feel like that nice brown color, that's like an end of the day thing, right? Maybe an espresso martini, or it could be early in the day. The middle, it doesn't really have a spot. And then that energy drink color, that kind of fills the middle. Coffee and Mountain Dew are essentially the yin and yang of the beverage world, if you think about it. They complete each other, but there's a place for both. You do need both, because they offset each other too. It's important to juxtapose the drink world, is what I'm saying. I went to Davis this weekend. That was fun. And I haven't been to Davis since, I think last time I was there was June 2nd. So it's been about 3 months. And it's weird. I didn't feel this way on June 2nd. I think that's because graduation hadn't happened, right? The class of 2024, they hadn't graduated yet. I think it was like a week after June 2nd or something like that. I know my graduation was on June 10th. So it's probably right around there, right? But going to Davis this time, it felt different. It felt different going to Davis because it felt empty. Now I was hanging out with a friend, and that's not, that's not, don't worry, Jess, I'm not saying that, you know, it felt empty even though we hung out. It felt empty because of just the whole vibe of the city and the school. Because I drove up this like exit that I used to take, and I drove by this Trader Joe's, and then I saw this whole, I think it was called U Mall, right? That whole little strip mall thing that existed. It used to be the World Market, and then these other places. I think there was a Starbucks and then a boba shop. They were all there. And I drove past, and it was completely leveled. It was completely torn down. And I even looked over there and I said out loud, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like I just saw a travesty. Shout Travis T, by the way. Call him T squared. Yeah. We actually call him the Brit because another nickname we have for him is Tea Time. Travesty doesn't mean that, by the way. I just used it to synonymously mean tragedy. They're different words. They just sound similar. But I saw that and I did say out loud, I was like, oh my fucking God. It was a tragedy. It felt like I just watched something happen, even though it had happened. But I was like, wait, why did that make me feel weird? And then we were walking around downtown and I passed this store where I was like, oh, I remember a guy used to work there. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait, there's so many like shops and places in Davis that I remember people used to work there, like that I would know. So basically, anywhere I would go, I could know someone. But this was the first time. I think it's because this last class is done, class of 2024. I still knew people in that class. But now that they've graduated and moved on, all those people are gone. I basically don't know, I think, anyone that's an undergrad at UC Davis. I do know grad students that are at Davis, but if you've gone to college, you know it's a whole different beast. I think going to a school for undergrad and going to school for grad school, I think they're so completely different. And that's why it feels weird when, someone's like, I went to UC Davis, and it's like for only grad school. Because it's like, yeah, I went to Davis too, but like those are not comparable, I feel. Same campus and whatever, but so different of an experience. And I think the thing I landed on of why it felt so different is because, and this is something I think that translates even to being an adult, is that whenever people ask about a job, it's pretty quick. It happens within like the first three things they say. They always say, yeah, the people I work with are either great or they fucking suck. People always hone in on the people of a thing. And that's the thing. When I went to Davis, so much of what I would talk about in terms of like nice things was the people. And this was the first time I think I went to Davis where I was like, oh my God, so many of the people that made this place the place it was in my head are gone. So it felt like it was the same body. It's the same school, it's the same downtown, same city. But the soul of what it was is gone. And it got me thinking, I'm like, wait, that's so much of like what people are too. I even thought about this from an individual perspective. Like I'm Gauruv. I look this way. I think if you look at me a year ago, I look pretty much the same. But so much of who I am, 365 days ago, I think is so different. Like even maybe like 4 months ago, I think I'm such a different person. And that's an idea I think I've talked about in the past where it's like, I think even friends of mine that like if I haven't seen them in person in like 3 months, I'm like, I don't really know them that well because I don't know what's been going on in their life. I think it goes even beyond that, right? If I haven't seen a friend in like 2 years in person and someone's like, you're friends with them? I'm like, well, yeah, we're like friends, but like, I don't know them that well, like if you think about it, a lot of the people I call, or even maybe you call friends, we don't really know anything about, right? We had a shared experience and that's why our association formed. But now it's like we don't know much about each other. The day to day we would spend with each other, maybe we would get glimpses into each other's life because they would be like, I have to head out early. I'm going to go meet, like my family for this thing. And then, now I know a little bit about their family. But when you're not seeing them that frequent of an interval, it's like, I don't know shit about them. Hell, my best friend of 17 years, Hoyer, I don't think I've seen him since like May. Maybe it was June too. But it's been 3 months since I saw him in person. And I've only seen him, I think, 2 or 3 times this year. So even him, I'm like, I don't know, basically. I know things about him, right? That date back pretty far. But like recently, like who is Hoyer this past year? I don't know. I don't know. And that's the thing. People from like high school, it's like, yeah, we knew each other once upon a time, but Jesus Christ, so much has changed since then. For all intents and purposes, people I knew in high school that I haven't had any contact with since are strangers to me. That's why it feels even weird that, I've been DM'd by people that I went to high school with, and they'll ask questions like, oh, what are you up to now? Like, where do you live? Like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I don't want to tell you. Because I know we used to know each other, but you're like a stranger. And like, I wouldn't tell a stranger where I live or like what I'm up to and like my day to day shit. But because these people are like grandfathered in, I think they feel more, not entitled, I don't like that word, but they feel more like, oh yeah, tell me what's up with you. And it's like, but I don't know if I feel comfortable because we're like not there, right? I don't know. This could be one of those classic instances where like, oh, you're fucking reading in too much to it. Accept the bid, the bid for connection. Just fucking tell them what you're up to. Do you want friends or not, Garv? Good point. Okay, you got me there. But I think this is a parallel that you could see in many different places in life, individually, a location, with others, where it's like they look the same, everything, the appearance is the same. But then when you get to talking to them, you're like, oh my God, you're like a whole different person. And that's what I felt about Davis. It was the same body, but the soul of it was different. And the soul of it was pretty much gone. Because to me, it was like the people that gave it life. And now they're not there anymore. And so it was kind of weird. It was like kind of solemn mentally at times, like walking by certain things where I'm like, that reminds me of this person, or like that reminds me of this. Like people I haven't thought about in like 2, 3 years. I walked by, I walked down a street and I'm like, oh my God, this is where I had that conversation with so and so, where we talked about, how are they doing? I can't even reach out to them though, right? Because I'm essentially a stranger now. Again, that's all in my own head, and I know that, so I'm able to get past that. But it is very weird. And I think that does, like I said, it applies on a personal level too. I feel like even the person I was in January of this year, I was talking to my mom the other day. To me, last October to March, I don't know why, I've like blacked out. I don't even feel like they happened. Like to me, last year was like August, and then boom, I black out and I wake up and it's April. I don't remember like October to March happening. So that's why like the person I was in October, November, December, January, February, March. Next week we're going to cover the other 6 months. So make sure you study. But the person I was then, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't even know if I agree with anything that guy says. And that's not a bad thing. Like I don't think this is loss. I think it's transformation, right? I think this is something I used to do. I used to look nostalgically into the past. I'm still a sucker for nostalgia, but I have a different relationship with it now where I don't yearn for the past. I appreciate the past and I love it for what it is. And I just move forward and try not to dwell too much on that thing. It's nice to have, not nice to sit in, It's not that I can't do it. I just don't think it's productive. Because there's so much more life to do that I'm like, why am I focusing on that shit? Shit's a bad word. That's something I've gotten myself in trouble with. Someone will like make something like a batch of cookies, and I'll be like, how was it? I'm like, that shit was awesome. And they're like, why'd you call it shit? I'm like, oh, sorry. That's immature on my part. I just use that word a little loosely. It just means thing to me. It was good. You did a good, it's amazing. And I love you. And don't, please, I misspoke. I said a word I should have been more careful about. That's on me. But that shit slapped. I'm sorry. You have to understand that's a big compliment. But cursing, that's a useful tool, right? People always say that people that curse are more trustworthy because they say it how it is, right? They don't censor themselves. But I kind of have a different take on that. I think cursing, people that curse are actually more untrustworthy because myself, I use cursing to lie. You know, when someone's trying to come up with a lie, they'll kind of like fumble on their words and go, uh, lie, and then they sell the lie. I don't do that. I use cursing to buy myself time, and I think other people do it too, right? Like if you're gonna lie about where you were, this is what you might say. You might say, "Yeah, I was at the well, I used there too." It's really potent when you use and a curse word together, but let me try to not use I can say, "Yeah, I was at the fucking movie theater the other day." See, I use fucking to buy myself time. Where someone might use I use fuck. Fuck is my Do you get what I'm saying? I think people do that too. And they usually, like I said, they use the combo. They go, yeah, I was at the fucking shit. What do you call it? The you know, you're just buying yourself time. And some people are like, no, but that means they're trustworthy. They show they air their dirty laundry. They say the words that shouldn't be spoken. Not Tom Riddle, but you know, the naughty words, the ones that get you slapped on the wrist in elementary school, right? If you said Voldemort in middle school, people would be like, wow, you're reading at a higher level than we thought we did. You're so smart. And then you internalize that and then you fucking suck at school for the rest of your life because you grew up being like, no, I'm just inherently smart. That's a whole different can of worms, right? Also, I don't know if I totally believe it. Anyways, I'm going to leave that alone. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, no, I cursed a lie. I'm buying myself time. I know what I want to say, then I'm not going to curse, right? Because cursing is not that nice, right? Cursing can be used as like a comedic tool or device, right? But you have to be selective with it. So then when you're not using it to be funny, you're just using it to buy yourself time. Because no one, right? They always tell you in school growing up, don't say It's unprofessional. And I see that and I say, okay, well, fuck me then. I'm going to use bad words. What's that shit called? Yeah, what's the fucking, damn. Huh. Crap. Ah, geez, man. Crud. Shiz. Jeepers creepers, man. What was I just about to say? So, yeah. Are people there more trustworthy? Are they? Do you have a take on that? What's my answer? I'm gonna lock in that people that curse aren't. I'm gonna take a very middle of the road approach. I don't think people that curse are like more trustworthy. I think they're just more fun to be around, right? No. I'm okay if people don't curse. The thing that I don't like is if you curse and then someone's like, hey, come on. I'm like, oh, hey, don't. What are you, my fucking parent? What do you mean? And they're like, there you go again, saying that word. I'm like, all right. By the way, I didn't realize that this wasn't, I mean, it makes sense. It's not obvious, but by the way, did you know these episodes take 3 hours to edit? I was talking to Jess yesterday and she was like, oh, I didn't realize that. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like ideally you shouldn't know that, but these episodes take 3 hours to edit and you're like, Gauruv, I don't see what you edit. It's still the low quality that it always is. I'm like, all right, that's not. The thing I do is like when I move this mic in my hand, it makes a little noise. Here, you want to hear it? I'll be quiet and I'll just do it. So you hear that? That happens basically whenever I'm not talking, or it might happen in the middle of my words. And so I go in and basically anytime I'm silent, I lower the volume a little bit so that you don't hear ambient noise. So yes, these episodes, I know that there's basically no editing in them, but there's a fucking shit ton of editing. Like even this episode, I'll like take a screenshot and you can see the audio waveform. There it is. That's like how many little like touches I do. So yes, If that helps with your appreciation of these episodes, it takes like 3 hours to edit each of these episodes because I'm just like listening and being like, ooh, was that a little like hand noise? Let me take that out. And then I go crazy. Like 30 minutes in, right? These episodes are about like 35, 38 minutes. About 30 minutes in, I know I'm rounding third, heading into home, but Jesus Christ, I get so like, God, I can't take my fucking voice, man. I don't know how people listen to this shit. But it's because I'm, listening to my own voice for 3 hours, just over and over on repeat. And then I'm editing like main channel videos too. So I'm like, God, I am so sick of myself. But luckily, I have a deadline, right? I'm like, these will go up on Mondays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will hit that deadline. And I have. It used to be 7, but now I've moved it to 8. But it has happened every Monday for the past 13 weeks, and this is week number 14. So, thank you guys so much for listening. The support has been there. We are now in episode 101. I know last episode I was like, oh, it's episode 100. So, leave a comment, even if it's as simple as saying, woo, episode 100. But you can carry that rule into every other episode. You can say that, you can say, woo, episode 101. I just need engagement, So just help me out. Leave a comment, leave a like. You guys have been really good about it, so thank you so much. But we got to get that engagement up. Like we live in Utah because we need this shit shown to other people. But for now, we're a good audience. We're a good group. We got a good group out here. Yeah. Corporate managers before they like fire half their team. We got a good solid group. I think everyone has their role. We are going to have to let a lot of you go though. I know you're all an integral part of the team, but we are going to get by without most of you. In fact, in a couple weeks here, next quarter, it'll be like you were never here. But for now, you're all family to me. So anyways, thank you so much for listening. I feel like the first half of this episode was really slow, but I hope it picked up at the end. And if it didn't, it was a final sale. Okay, no refunds. You've wasted your time, and time is money. So I got nothing for you. I can offer you a gift card, but you have to spend it in the same spot. So you do, if I give you the time back, you have to come back next week and spend it. Yeah, it doesn't work for anyone, right? Just take the sunk cost. I see where you're coming from. Anyways, that's this episode. So I will talk to you next week. Okay?